Howdy crew, today I'll be unboxing the Victor Journeyman 450 heavy duty cutting torch. Let's get to it. Here is the Victor Journeyman 450 heavy duty cutting torch. Let's open this critter up. So when we open it up, we have ta-da, torch. I really enjoy Victor torches. They are all brass, except for this part, and a couple of those parts. Just like a lot of their gauges, it's not a steel housing coated in brass. They have majority brass parts, and it's a lot lighter. If you hold a Victor torch compared to a cheaper brand torch, you will notice the difference if you've been using them for a good amount of time. So we're gonna have that critter there. I do want to mention about some of their different flow datas and charts. They have a chart here for propane, LPG, and natural gas. I will not be using propane or natural gas, but I will be using propylene. So this card will apply to me, acetylene and propane will not. I will still keep these regardless, but I would also like to mention that before going into the other stuff, a very important part, because I know folks don't stick around for the whole video, the tips are very important. And reason being, open this one up, this is specifically for propylene. This is very different than acetylene tip. Acetylene tips are one piece. Here there are two different housing pieces. It comes apart. You'll notice this is a very different tip than an acetylene tip. The gases are mixed differently and it's not the same. So you can see that you have your propylene, and it'll be mixing with the oxygen. And you have your different little nozzles, or your little holes for the nozzle, whereas acetylene, you'll have all of that right up here. It'll be mixing in here, and all the little holes will be right here. So it's a very different tip, and I think that's very important for y'all to know and to remember, because you do not want to mix these up. It could be very bad news. And this is Randor Victor style, and this should be a number 2. So again, propylene. It is made for propylene. And we'll go over right here. A number 2 tip can cut up to 1.5 inches. And that's pretty good for right now. I would like to upgrade eventually to a little bit higher number, probably a 3 to get us to 2.5. But right now, having these 3 nozzles will be fine to start off with. I am content with that. Now, this is an acetylene gauge. I do realize that, and so it will even say acetylene, but I can use this with propylene. I love the Victor gauges and just how smooth this is. I know there's no way to describe, but it's just smooth as butter. When I turn this, there's no grinding, there's no loose spots and then tough spots. It's just smooth all the way. And I really appreciate that. Some guys do bring their own tools. As you all know, I do bring my own tools to sites. And if I had already had these, this is something I might consider taking, but I probably wouldn't take, because I don't be making sure left and right that no one's stealing them, because these are very expensive. And this is the oxygen. So we have all that on there. Y'all can see that. And again, I just love how smooth this is. It's not loose, it's not too tight, and it's not variable between loose and tight, or loose and comfy, or tight and comfy. It's just wonderful. And then again, all the little pieces are brass, and I think that's absolutely wonderful. This is double the price of some of the other gauges and torches that you can get, and there's nothing wrong with those. I'm not saying that because they're cheaper that they're automatically bad. They are actually perfectly fine. They're perfectly acceptable. Victor does have a good repair policy, they do have very repairable parts, where some of the others, it's a one and done. You can buy something that's this for $650, but if you bust one of these, it's done. This set is approximately $1,200, but just say this gets damaged, I can take it back and have it repaired. So instead of wasting $650 and have to go buy one of these pieces again or buy a whole set again, I can have one of these replaced, and I really do like that. But also just the quality in it, it's so much lighter. If y'all know the weight of the different gauges, it's night and day difference. The only thing I don't care about torches, there are some that aren't like this. I don't like it doing that, because when you're wearing gloves, you don't want to be worrying about this flying up and down. I realize most of them do that. I just never cared for that. And why does it have to do that? But that's just me being picky. But this is perfect. I really enjoy the torches that have this for propylene. It makes it a lot easier adjusting, and if you're all used to these, you're used to it. If you're not, it does take a little bit extra time, because then you got to figure out these two, then you have a third one, and when you're beginning, it can be on the slightly confusing side, but after a while, it becomes second nature. So I really do like this style compared to just the two, but the two are perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So again, I do really enjoy this. Remember to read all your different manuals. Don't be using this stuff willy-nilly. Read all this stuff, read all the safety material. But I will definitely be keeping this visible to where I will be buying more tips, and it's pretty interesting. They have a number 12 tip can go to 18 inches. Nothing wrong with that. They show preheat, fuel gas, speed, all kinds of interesting stuff on here. I actually, to be honest, I have no idea what inches per minute I go at. I just go at whatever is comfortable, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna say I go at a certain amount of inches per minute. Just whatever is cutting the best, it works. You might have a steel that's made at one mill differently than another. It's the same steel, it's the same type, same structural member, but one will cut a little bit faster than another. One will cut a little bit rougher than another, even though it could be slower. It just depends. So if someone says that you need to be at a certain inches per minute for every piece that you're cutting, I don't believe that's true, but that's my own personal opinion. I don't hold it as fact, it's just what I believe. But regardless, I do really enjoy this. I'm very happy with it. Everything looks nice and clean. There's no blemishes. There's a little tape on this one, but there's no blemishes. Gotta peel all that stuff off, but I'm gonna wait till the tanks are here. I do not have the tanks yet, but I will be getting those once the tank holders are ready for the welding rig. So if you're all wondering if it's a big torch in this kit, it's really not. This is, it really depends on what torches you're used to, because if you go down to some fab shops, this could be extremely small torch, and if you're at some other fab shops, this could be huge torch. Me, this is a small to medium. More emphasis on the small. I have used some torches that feel like they're about this length, and some torches that feel that they're about this length. So it really depends on what you're used to say whether this is small, medium, or large. To me, this is a medium to small. And again, a little bit more emphasis on the small, but that's just from my experience. I have used the small ones and I have used really large ones, and this to me is a medium to small. Nothing wrong with it, I'm not knocking it. It's perfectly fine. It's smaller, it fits in the toolbox easier, and that's great by me. I will try and figure out a system to have these in the toolboxes for the truck, and to where they're not knocking around, because I don't want these things crashing into each other. I don't want other tools crashing into these. So I will definitely be figuring out a system to have these in the toolboxes to where they're not easily damaged, knocked around, broken, or scratched, anything, because I like taking care of my tools as best as possible, and that applies to all this stuff, whether it's expensive or inexpensive. I don't like things being broken or scratched or worn down unnecessarily. So that is what is in the kit. These were acetylene tips, but Gus MPB switched them out for me, which I really appreciate, so I didn't have to have useless acetylene tips and then have to go and buy these. So he switched them out for me, and I really do appreciate that. So thank you again to Gus MPB for helping me out with that and not forcing me to spend extra money that I don't have to. It's just very helpful not having to spend extra money when it's unnecessary. If I'm not going to use something and I can just exchange it for one of these, that is very helpful when you're spending a lot of money on a welding rig. It really is. That little bit does go a long way. And that's pretty much it for all this. I'm not really gonna read this in depth right now, but I will be reading it soon, just see what all it says, because I'm really curious why such a large manual is in here, but it does look interesting to me anyways. But that is what is in the Victor Journeyman 450 heavy duty cutting set. Hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll see y'all in the next video.